Hi, Paul Hefty here with a Triangle Football System. Want to talk about the consulting process. We'll quickly go through the 4 stages of team readiness and then talk about year 1, 2, and 3, which are kind of the natural progression, and then talk about a new role for me to take on, and then also a new definition of leadership as we move forward. Let's take a look. All right, with the consulting process, when we're working with teams and programs here, it's typical to go through these 4 stages of team readiness. And these are things you probably know about, have looked at, and have dealt with, but we'll just review real quick. It's called forming, storming, norming, and performing. Again, if you think about any of your teams, you typically go through this where you form, there's some storming until there's complete buy-in, then you start to normalize as a program and as a team, and then you start to perform at a high level. Key here is knowing where your team is in each of these stages, and you can better understand how to meet their needs as a leader. I'll do the same here as a consultant. So with team development, the 4 stages, when we're forming, it's what we did when we first met. It's more of me just teaching you the system, kind of an autocratic style. But then as you learn it, you go through a storming phase because you're learning new things, how to teach them, how to apply them, how to use them in a game. And players and staff, it's typical for them to question things until there's complete buy-in. Then you can't really normalize. And that's when you start to get everybody starting to participate, starting to be as a leader now, or the leadership of the team and the staff. And hopefully you've gotten everybody involved because everybody's bought in. Last, then you'll start to perform at a real high level, and that's where you as a leader, if you've done a good job delegating things out, keeping everybody involved on your staff and your players, you really get to sit back and enjoy and watch what your program is built up to. So what naturally happens here when I'm working with programs is we form, and usually what happens is these are, you're starting to do things, learn new things that you want to do as a program, whether that's offense, defense, kicking game. Again, there's going to be some normal progression of a stage where we storm a little bit. There's disagreement, there's different philosophical beliefs. So we've got to work through those, and then typically you start to normalize as you get better just by doing things. That's how a season works. The key here is off-season number 1 is where you actually want to storm and you want to go back and as a staff review and renew and figure out what you need to do now versus what you want to do. So this is where you've got to do that together as a head coach. You've got to re-engage the staff, ask some tough questions, and really, really listen and get them involved. If you've ever been an assistant, which most of us have, you're fully invested when you have ownership in part of the process. So as a head coach, we need to give people opportunities to have ownership and be totally engaged and involved in the process. Year 2, then you can go right into normalizing and performing. Again, hopefully at a high level. By the off season of year 2, then now this is where you're working together. You really need to take the players to the next step. Now that you have a core of your system, there's belief, everybody knows how to teach it, you've got 2 years of running it. The players can start to lead the younger players through their leadership. Year 3, then hopefully you go right into performing, and this is what I call where you start to evolve, and as a staff you review, but now you look at what do you want to become, where do you need to go, where do you want to go. And again, this involves the players, the staff, everyone. But hopefully if everybody's engaged, then everybody evolves. So how do you do that? Again, what leaders need to do and must do with year 2 is you've got to provide a really clear vision now, because year 1, it's kind of unknown. We're kind of figuring things out. Your team culture needs to be really solid here. And this is if you haven't, but you usually have instill those values you want, but you've got to inspire the trust, continue to motivate. Don't be afraid to confront and resolve conflict with staff, with players, anyone. Again, until you're all on the same page, you really can't move forward, and that goes through communication. You have to be honest, but you have to be able to listen on both sides and do this consistently. Again, the head coach must effectively engage the staff in the process. That's where it starts. So as a consultant, new role here, I really like to go into a transformational leadership style, which that real simple is we're going to transfer the power back over to the staff, through the head coach, into the players. And I really try to listen and identify what your needs are and just help foster that engagement, and then helping questions as you look to move forward in the direction you want to go. So my new definition, I use this with my classes, I've used this with my teams, is the 5 E's, is to empower, engage everyone to be a leader. And then once we transform that power to all, then we can evolve and we can strive for excellence. That's my goal with you as we move forward in this process. Thanks.